You might have heard before that thoughts become things, but not all thoughts become things, because that would be crazy. It's the thoughts that become beliefs and that get embedded in your subconscious mind that become things, i.e., that materialize in your physical reality. So if you want to change your life, you have to change your paradigm. You have to change the program that exists in your subconscious mind. Today, I'm going to be walking you through how to brainwash your subconscious mind into a whole new reality. This is the cornerstone of transformation. If you don't learn how to do this, if you don't actually do it, you're going to keep running the same autopilot program and you're going to keep getting the same results. So today, I'm going to break down why this matters, how your subconscious mind is creating your reality. We're going to talk about what the subconscious mind even is. We're going to break down how beliefs have gotten into your subconscious mind. And then we're going to go through how to reprogram those beliefs so that you can basically install a whole new software in your subconscious mind, a whole new operating system, which will result in you landing in a whole new reality. So first of all, let's discuss how your subconscious mind is influencing and creating your reality. You as a human being, you exist on the physical plane. By virtue of you having a physical body, you have this meat suit that you're wearing, you exist on the physical plane. You also exist on the mental plane. How do we know this? Because you're thinking constantly. You are thinking thoughts, you are using your imagination, you have intellect, you have reasoning, you have all of these higher mental faculties. So you exist also on the mental plane, and you exist on the spiritual plane. You are a spiritual being. Why? Because you exist within the infinite all of everything that exists, right? You are a part of the whole. You are a fractal of the source. So you exist on the spiritual plane, the mental plane, and the physical plane all at once. Now, when we look at whatever you're looking for in your life, whatever you're yearning for, whether it be the more aligned career opportunity, whether it be that dream relationship, whether it be finally getting out of debt, finally getting more money, finally becoming prosperous and successful and confident, whatever it is, whatever that experience is that you're looking for, that already exists as a possibility on this spiritual plane, okay? So you here on this physical plane, you are perceiving with your 5 senses what you call matter. What is matter? It's an aggregation of atoms vibrating at a particular frequency that is tangible and perceptible to our particular 5 senses. And if we take sight as an example of one of the senses, we are perceiving less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum of light that has been measured. There's probably even more than that. But what we can even just measure through our tools, we're perceiving less than 1% of what is. Our senses are giving us a very limited perception of what actually exists and what actually is. But beyond this physical 3D reality, this is a kind of a lower form of consciousness. It's one of the lower dimensions. We have the mental plane and then we have the spiritual plane. So this is the plane of the unseen. The scientists call this the unified field of information. This is where all possibilities exist. Even if we look at quantum mechanics, we can see that electrons exist in many possible states in the observer effect until they are observed by an external observer, and then they collapse into material form. So if you think about whatever it is you desire, whatever experience, whatever object, whatever physical result that you're looking for, it exists in the field as a wave of potential. It's just there, out there in the field, in that unseen field of energy all around us. And you have to start observing it using what? Not your eyes, because observing this with your eyes is keeping you trapped in the same paradigm. You have to start observing it on the mental field. This is why we have these higher faculties. This is why you have the powers of your mind. This is why you have a subconscious mind, which we're going to talk about in a second. Until you start observing possibilities in your mind, in your mental field, they cannot be birthed physically into your reality. How do we know this? Okay, man was created in God's image. It says it in the Bible. So we all exist in God's imagination. And because we were created in God's image, we have the same faculties as God, being a fractal of God, of Source. which means we are inherently creative beings, which is why we were also gifted imagination, the ability to visualize, the ability to think, to plan, all of these mental facilities, because we were created in God's image. In Hermeticism, it also states that we are existing within the all-knowing mind, the image of the all-knowing mind. And as within, so without. So if it's the case that Source is imagining this reality, you being a fractal of Source and having the qualities of Source, you have to imagine your reality in order for it to exist physically. And even if you think about anything that exists physically in this 3D reality, it first had to exist mentally. And I say that a lot, but think about it. It couldn't possibly exist physically until it existed mentally, okay? So the man-made things obviously had to exist in the mind of man first, but even the natural things in nature, they had to exist in the mind of God first in order to exist physically. I hope you're getting the picture by now that your mental plane, the plane that you exist on by virtue of you thinking, is the portal between the physical and the spiritual plane. The spiritual plane where everything exists, every possibility exists, and the physical plane where you can experience things with your senses. Your mind is the portal. It's the middleman. So it's not just thoughts though. Okay, this is the realm of thoughts. If it were the situation that what you think becomes reality, then you would be seeing crazy stuff in your reality because we think some crazy stuff sometimes. Sometimes our thoughts are really random. Sometimes we get intrusive thoughts. Sometimes we just get fleeting thoughts that we don't even know where they came from. So it's not the case that all your thoughts become reality. It's the thoughts that get wired in as beliefs in your subconscious mind. Let's just say this is your brain. I know it looks nothing like a brain, but this is your brain. You have a conscious and a subconscious mind, which is just fascinating, really, the way that we've been designed. So your subconscious mind controls 95% of you, basically. Your conscious mind is just your thinking faculty. So it's the realm of conscious thought and planning, decision-making, and short-term memory. This accounts for less than 10% of your actions, of your behaviors, of your bodily functions, of how you function as a human being. Your subconscious mind, on the other hand, that's where your beliefs live. This is where your fears, your traumas, all of that stuff lives in your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind dictates over 90% of your actions, reactions, thoughts, and your perception, okay? Now, this is a very key word, perception, because what is reality? It's a field of information. It's too much information actually for our brain to process in every moment. So all the information that we are taking in with our senses moment to moment, day to day, gets processed through our mind, particularly through the belief system, through the paradigm that we have installed in our subconscious mind. And then that's what makes meaning out of what we're seeing through our senses. So this is why you can have two people who are seeing the exact same situation, but what they're perceiving is totally different because the filter through which each person is passing the information through is totally different. So your subconscious mind basically is like a pair of glasses that you've put on to see the world through. The world is the world. The situations are the situations. Everything is and isn't at the same time. But what you have in your subconscious mind is what is creating your version of reality through your perception. So it is vitally important that you consciously program what you've got in there, because most of us have installed a program unbeknownst to us by our environment, by our parents, by our families, by our systems, by our schools. And it's not the program that's going to facilitate us perceiving the things that are going to empower us in our lives. So if you've installed a program from your parents or your family and you don't want the life that they have, well, good luck, because that's exactly what you're going to get. You cannot perceive a reality outside of your beliefs. It's not possible. So even to give you another visual of this, because a lot of people find this one really helpful. let's just remind ourselves, you exist in a sea of infinite possibilities. There are infinite amount of experiences that you could be having. They all exist in this field, this quantum infinite field, the spiritual realm, the non-physical, okay? This is what all those possibilities look like. They're like different spaces in this matrix reality. You have landed within, let's say, these experiences in reality because of the beliefs that you hold. So you will always exist inside a box of your beliefs, because what you believe dictates what you can perceive. So let's say you are in the reality of making 5K per month. This is just a very quantifiable example. Okay, you have a belief system, you have a paradigm that is resonant with the reality of making 5K per month. The things you believe about money, about yourself, about your career, about your capabilities are resonant with the outcome physically of 5K per month. The opportunities that you see, the conversations that you have, the ideas that you get all flow from the beliefs in your subconscious mind. And those things basically just flow out of that, right? And then that dictates the actions that you take physically. Let's say you want to go to, over here is the experience of making 50K per month. So what you need to install then is a belief system, a paradigm in your subconscious mind that supports the reality of making 50K per month. Think about it logically for a second. A person who makes 5K per month and a person who makes 50K per month, do they have the same belief system? No, not at all. It's totally different. It's completely different. What they think about themselves, what they think about money, what they think about business is completely different. Therefore, the conversations they're having, the opportunities they're perceiving, the way that they are presenting, everything is different off the back of that, which I'm going to explain in a second. So you are always, by the way, you're always going to exist in a box of your beliefs, because you're always going to have beliefs. You just have to make sure that they're beliefs that serve you. They're beliefs that align with your higher vision for your life. Then you will be untouchable. Let me explain that little point that I just touched on there. How is it that when we have a belief, the reality changes? Like what actually changes? Let's say you did what my friend just did there, and we went from a 5K per month mindset to a 50K per month mindset. And we're going to go through practically how to do the belief rewiring in a second, but let's just give this example to really wire in how this works. You change a belief. For example, I don't make a lot of money to I am making more and more money every week. I am becoming an entrepreneur. I am very entrepreneurial. I see opportunities everywhere. You start wiring in this new narrative. What happens is once that seed is planted in your subconscious mind, you are inserting the frequency of this belief into yourself. So you're basically taking out an old part of the program and you're putting in a new part of a program. And that has a new frequency. What happens then is that seed, it's planted, right? You don't need to worry about it. Once it gets in there, you do not need to worry about it. Once that seed is planted, it's basically going to change the thoughts that you have, the actions you take, and the perception that you have. You don't need to worry about how. If you have a belief that you are broke, you don't need to worry about how you're going to be broke. You just have an identity of you're broke. You act like you're broke. You think like you're broke. And you perceive things in reality that confirm to you that you're broke. Why? Because it's your belief. So when the belief gets into your subconscious, it automatically changes everything going on in your body. It changes your thoughts, it changes your actions, and it changes your perception automatically. Just like the negative beliefs that you don't like are taking care of your body, your thoughts, your perception, your actions automatically, so can a positive, empowering belief. It's the same law. The same rules apply. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between positive or negative, between real or imagined. So as soon as it gets into your subconscious mind that, okay, I am making 5K per month to I am making 50K per month, even if it's not true, if you can program that into your subconscious mind, your subconscious will start sending signals to your body. It will start emitting that frequency. You will start attracting thoughts, ideas, and you will start perceiving opportunities. You will start having conversations differently, and you will start to take different actions. You won't even really know why when you start doing it. For example, you might start just wearing a suit out of nowhere. You might spark up a conversation with someone, just have this idea, I'm going to go talk to this person. It's automatically going to happen. Why? Because your subconscious mind runs your body, your thoughts, and your perception. Keyword, automatically. Okay, this is what I want you to get. So everybody's so worried about the wrong things. They're worried about the how, when, what, where, why, who. No, worry about what you've planted in the garden of your subconscious mind, because that's what's growing for you in reality. And every result that you have right now, look at your life, look at the results that you have. Look at the results that you have in your relationships. Look at the results that you have in your finances, in your business, in your career, in your friendships, in your health, in everything. All of those are there because of what you have stored and programmed in your subconscious mind. And the thing is, it's subconscious. It's unconscious. You don't know it's there, but you can know it's there just by looking at your life. So if you have a pattern of attracting toxic partners, there's something in your subconscious mind that is attracting that into your experience. There's something in your subconscious mind that's making you think in a certain way, perceive reality a certain way, and then act in a certain way from your body automatically, because there's a belief in there that's firing those behaviors, right? And firing those thoughts and firing that perception. It's automatic, okay? So every area of your life that you don't prefer, start asking yourself right now, what beliefs could I be holding? What stories could I be telling that are perpetuating this experience? Because it's coming from somewhere. I have another weird example for you, and I always think about this. Hypnosis is subconscious rewiring or subconscious programming. And if a hypnotherapist is doing a skit with somebody and they make them think that they're a monkey, they plant the idea in their head that they are a monkey, the person does not have to think about, well, how am I going to be a monkey? They don't need to sit down and plan out how to be a monkey. Again, that's the activity of the conscious mind, is that planning and decision making. They don't need to do that. Because it's wired into the subconscious mind, their body acts out the behavior of a monkey automatically. They start perceiving things as a monkey. They start making noises as a monkey does. Why? Because it was planted in the subconscious mind. It even says this in the Bible. All things ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive. Okay? It says believing. Not just wishing, not just hoping, not just praying for it, believing in it. Then you shall receive it. Once you believe in it, once it's in your subconscious mind, it's done. So that's the beauty of this. Okay, let's get into how to do it, because I know you're dying to know now. So how can you actually program your subconscious? Well, let's think about how the program that you have now even got in there in the first place. There's a few reasons why you have the beliefs that you do. First of all, when you are a child in childhood, obviously, when you're a child, you're very programmable. So when we're young, we don't have as much conscious, rational discernment. Those parts of our brain actually haven't developed yet. And so the information that we are perceiving from our environment, it usually gets programmed straight into our subconscious mind. And so the stuff that you were exposed to at a young age, typically that forms a lot of your core beliefs that are in your subconscious. Why? Because you're like a sponge. You were literally just a sponge, okay? So it's not your fault. Whatever you have in your subconscious mind, it is not your fault that it's in there, but it is your responsibility now, knowing what you know, to take the wheel and reprogram it if it's not working for you. Because a lot of us are carrying the belief systems of our parents, and we don't want the results that our parents have. So it makes no sense that that's the system that you're running internally is going to get you the same results or similar results that they have. Okay? So childhood, you are, just remember, your brain was like a sponge. So this is really helpful to know if you notice a pattern or something that you're doing that you're like, why do I do that? Look at where you might have inherited a belief related to this thing that could be limiting you. It's usually your parents or your family or your environment growing up. Okay. The second thing that caused you to inherit the program that you currently have and are currently running in your mind that is creating your results is your experiences. Now, not every experience is created equal. So here's where we get into the nitty-gritty of this. You will not wire everything into your subconscious mind. Again, that would be crazy. There's a threshold. There's a certain threshold on what gets in there, okay? So let's say we have all this info floating around and you're perceiving it. It is the information that has an emotional impact. That's what gets into your subconscious mind. Any story that you're telling yourself that engages your emotions intensely, any experiences that you've had that had a strong emotional impact, typically will result in you storing that in your subconscious mind and having beliefs related to it. And then the last one is repetition. So repetition programs your subconscious mind, but particularly when you repeat something enough times that you start to emotionally resonate with it. And again, you cross that threshold of emotional impact, and then it wires into your subconscious. So what does all of this tell us about what a belief is? A belief that's in your subconscious mind. If it's happening through experiences that are emotionally intense or thoughts that are emotionally intense, all a belief is a thought backed by emotion. And this is going to get exciting now in a minute, because there's some analogies that I want to make here, but all a belief is a thought backed by emotion. Your emotional conviction or resonance with a thought is what signals to your subconscious mind that this is important, okay? So your emotions are the language of the subconscious mind. You can think about things all day long, but if you don't get emotionally involved with the thoughts that you're thinking, they are not going to cross that threshold. They're not going to be able to make it through the gates into your subconscious mind. They're going to stay in the conscious mind on the intellectual level. You have to get it intellectually and you have to get it emotionally, and that is when you will get it subconsciously. And if we even break this down a little bit more, what is a thought? A thought is actually a firing of neurons that creates an electrochemical charge. So it creates an electric charge, your thought. Did you know that? How cool is that? It's like electricity in your mind through your thoughts in the mental plane. Yet we're not taking them seriously. What's an emotion? Emotions are related to your heart center. Your heart center has a magnetic charge. What happens when you combine a thought, an idea, with an emotion? You create an electromagnetic charge. And not just any electromagnetic charge, but an electromagnetic charge that is in the vibration of whatever this is related to. So if you're thinking of lack and you have the emotion of scarcity and fear, well, guess what? You're creating the electromagnetic charge of scarcity. That gets wired in and planted into your subconscious. That seed gets planted, and then that is manifested physically, right? Opposite, if you wire in a thought of abundance and of success, and you feel the emotions of gratitude, of excitement, of wholeness, you create an electromagnetic charge of abundance. That's a frequency that gets wired and implanted into your subconscious mind, and then that is manifested physically for you automatically, okay? Are you getting the picture here? So everything is connected. Everything is connected. But for these purposes, all you need to know on programming your subconscious mind, what gets in there is a thought backed by emotion that creates the significant charge, the frequency of this experience that gets programmed into your subconscious mind. Here's the sauce. I have this. People are paying for this in my community, so you better start writing stuff down, because here we're going to get really practical. All right, so let's do this pretty practically. You have belief A and you have belief B. Belief A is I'm broke. Belief B is I'm financially secure. So you've noticed that you are living in an experience, in a physical body experience of being broke, of living in lack, okay? And again, I'm just taking this example because I know it's a common one. It's one that I struggled with for years and years. And it's just a very easily quantifiable one. So let's, just to visualize this, let me get another color. Black is not really a color, but anyway. So let's say this is belief A, okay? This is the threshold to get into your subconscious mind. So it's well and truly cross this threshold. It's in your subconscious mind. You have got this seed planted of I'm broke. You're believing in lack, okay? The beautiful thing about reprogramming a belief like this is you can apply the law of polarity, which is a universal law that exists in everything in this reality. The law of polarity is basically the principle that everything has its opposites. So the energy of love is manifested as love and hate. Love and hate are the same energy, they're just at different ends of the spectrum. Just like fear and courage are the same energy, they're just at different rates, different levels of intensity, different rates of vibration, okay? That's the law of polarity. You can harness, if you're clever, and you want to do this in the most clever way, this is what I've recently discovered, you can harness the law of polarity in rewiring a belief. How do you do that? So we're taking the energy of your financial situation, the energy of money in your reality, and it was at a low vibration of lack. You can actually just replace this belief by taking a different intensity of the same energy and wiring that in instead. What do I mean? So you essentially, all you need to do to rewire this is to move up along the scale of polarity and the energy of money and say, I'm not broke, I'm financially secure. You don't have to say I'm wealthy. You don't have to say I'm a millionaire. You don't even have to say I'm financially secure. You could say my financial situation is improving. It's getting better and better and better. What you're doing is you're transmuting the energy of money out of the negative pole and into the more positive pole. So you don't need to do anything actually with this old belief. There's one caveat to that, and I'll get into that in a moment. But you don't typically need to do anything with that old belief. All you need to do is get a new belief in the same energy, so this energy being money, in the same category basically, and change whatever level it is. So you go from low vibration to high, you go from negative to positive, and then you buy into the new belief more than the old belief with your emotions. That cancels out the old one and rewires it into the new one. Why? Because you can't be existing in the belief of I'm broke and I'm financially secure at the same time. One displaces the other. So I'm going to term this the law of displacement because I feel like it works. But you can displace a negative belief with a positive belief just like that. And what is the significance? It's the emotional, this should be up here, it's the emotional charge. It's the emotional conviction. That's how you rewire a belief. Sounds easy. So now your question probably is, well, how do I get emotional conviction in something? I'll walk you through the process. Don't worry. Okay, before we move on and I give you the process, the only caveat to what I just explained to you, the law of displacing a belief, is if belief A, for example, the belief in lack, has particularly strong emotional charge. So think of it like this is a weed in the garden of your subconscious mind. If you're finding it really difficult to reprogram a belief, it's probably because it's got really deep roots, meaning it's attached to a very deeply emotional experience, an experience such as the trauma or something that really impacted you emotionally. So in this instance, what can be helpful if you have a belief in lack because you experience a lot of trauma around money, then you may need to go and do shadow work or do healing or processing or releasing of the emotion that's trapped in your body because it's causing you to have like a really high emotional intensity backing up this thought in lack, this belief in lack. And so it's going to be difficult for you to override that. That is the only time where this process becomes a little bit difficult. So if you notice, okay, you're trying to displace, you're trying your best to do it, but the old belief is digging its heels in, look at where it came from, what experiences created it, and whether you're still holding on to those experiences in your body as traumas. Because if you're still holding on to them, the emotions of those experiences still exist in your body, which is why you can't create emotional conviction yet in a new belief. You need to release this one first. So that is where shadow work, etc. comes in. I have a whole video on shadow work. I'll leave it down below. But that's not the topic of this video. But that's the only caveat to the law of displacement. And even still, you should be working on your conviction in the new belief because over time it will work. But that's just if there's a particularly strong emotional tie to your belief that you don't prefer. Look at the event, look at if it's still stored in your body as a trauma, and then look at releasing that, and that'll make the belief rewiring so much easier. So here's the process. Here's how you do it. There's a few ingredients here that we need to first get into the subconscious mind and then actually plant the seed of the new belief. The first ingredient, we need to be able to enter the subconscious mind, okay? Most of the time when we're awake and our eyes are open, we are in our conscious mind. We're just thinking. Why? because of these fun things called our brain waves. Stay with me. It's all going to tie together. So most of the time, we are in beta brainwave state, which is your conscious mind. When you're in beta brainwave state, your awareness is in your conscious thinking animal brain, and you can't reprogram your subconscious mind when that's where your awareness is, when it's in your conscious mind, okay? It's like trying to clean your back garden, but you are down the road at your friend's house. It's not going to work, okay? So when you're in beta brainwave state, which is the state of being awake and just busy and like reactive, that kind of state, that's beta brainwave state. You want to get into alpha or theta brainwave state. So you want your brainwaves to go from incoherent to coherent, and you want them to slow down. That is when your consciousness will shift from your neocortex, your conscious thinking mind, into your subconscious mind. And they've done this on brain scans, okay? This is not woo-woo. This is seriously legitimate. I've practiced it 1,000 times. This is how people get hypnotized. You know when somebody hypnotizes someone and they're like, on the count of 10, you're going to be totally relaxed. You're going to be asleep. Okay, 1, whatever. And they count down. And all they're doing is getting the person to relax the body, and sleep. The reason for that is they're getting their brain state to shift out of brainwaves of beta and into alpha or theta brainwave state. Why? Because then they have entered the subconscious mind. It's very simple. So how do you do this? The easiest way to do it is to sit down and meditate. So you sit down in silence, you close your eyes, you make sure you're comfortable, you make sure you're not going to be distracted, and you totally relax your body. Become completely and totally relaxed. By the way, this state, like your subconscious being an alpha theta brainwave state, is how you reach flow state. It's where there's a lot of good stuff, but this is how you shift your consciousness from the conscious mind, the reactive, into the intuitive subconscious. Sit down, close your eyes, and totally relax your body. You can take some deep breaths. You could do a short breath work. These things are the way to get into the slower brainwave state. Another time of day where you are naturally in that state is immediately after waking up and right before you fall asleep. So those two windows, your brainwaves are naturally slower, so your subconscious mind is much more programmable. But you can get into this state at any time in the day. You just have to sit down, quiet down, close your eyes, relax your body, drop your shoulders, let the tension fall out of you. Do that for a few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a few times a day. Congratulations, you're in your subconscious mind, okay? That's how you do it. That's step 1. And even on this point about being more relaxed, it puts you in a more coherent brain state, meaning you're having less chaotic, erratic thought patterns. You're more connected to your subconscious mind, which means you're more connected to the infinite field of possibilities, because your subconscious mind, okay, if we think of it like Florence Shinn speaks about it, we have the superconscious, which is everything that exists. We have the subconscious, and then we have the conscious, okay? Your conscious mind is not connected to the infinite field of everything. It's your subconscious mind that is connected to infinity, that is connected to all possibilities. So the more you can just relax day to day, the more you're going to be connected to more possibilities, to bigger picture thinking, to more insight, more awareness, all of that stuff. So the second thing that you need is you need to think. You need to think the new belief. So this is you getting it intellectually. And then you need to feel the new belief. This is you getting it emotionally. That's what creates the charge, which plants the seed in your subconscious mind. So right now, we're going to go through together and we're going to define a couple of new beliefs intellectually, and we're going to define the emotions that you associate with those beliefs. And I'm going to give you practical exercises so you can experience the new belief in your mind, in your imagination, in your body, so you can wire it in. Knowing that infinite possibilities exist, knowing that you can do anything that you literally set your subconscious mind to. You can do anything. You can have, be, do anything. That everything exists in the quantum field of possibility. I want you to just decide right now what you want. It doesn't need to be a big 5-year goal. It doesn't need to be a big 10-year goal, although it can be. By all means, shoot for the moon. But even just a slight improvement, put down on a piece of paper, what do I want? Define a goal for yourself. I want my financial situation to improve. I want to feel better in my family. I want to feel better in my relationships. Whatever it is, write it down. Have you written it down? Okay, so let's say you've written down better health, better relationships. I want you to know now that the path to this experience already exists. The way already exists. All you need is to be in the right paradigm. You need the right operating system. You need the right beliefs implanted so that you can start perceiving the way, okay? Like tuning the dial on a radio. You will not be able to resonate with the path to this thing if you're not on the right frequency. And how you get on the right frequency is you implant the right ideas into your subconscious mind. So you've defined what you want. Now, what belief or beliefs support this experience? So if you wrote down, I have better relationships, maybe you have beliefs right now that the people around you are toxic and terrible and you can't trust anybody. Well, you need to change those beliefs. You're going to have to change your belief from I have tense relationships, I have hostility in my relationships, to I have very harmonious relationships. So look very closely at the objective that you want. Think about the people who have that thing, and then think to yourself, what do they believe that I don't? What stories are they telling themselves? What ideas are they buying into? What do they believe that I don't? So what beliefs support this experience? This is you bringing in the thought of the new belief, okay? So for example, I have harmonious relationships. What emotions do you feel in this experience? So in you experiencing harmonious relationships, what does it feel like? Maybe you feel love. Maybe you feel connection. List out the exact emotions that you experience if you were living this thought, if you were living this belief right now in the present moment. What would you feel? Okay, so go into your mind right now, whatever you've written down here. Maybe you want the experience of more success in business. Maybe you want better relationships. And the belief is I am financially thriving, or I have harmonious relationships. Imagine living out a scenario where that belief is true. Imagine living the truth of that belief, okay? Of living the truth of having harmonious relationships, of living the truth of having financial security, whatever it is. And what do you feel? What do you feel? Write it down. These are the emotions that are connected to this experience. This is how you're going to generate the frequency of this experience and allow this idea to implant in your subconscious mind. So write down, okay, maybe you feel secure, maybe you feel seen, whatever it is, list them all out. And if you want, on one side of the page, so you might want to write at the top the goal, right? So better relationships. On the left side, you can write the beliefs that support that. And on the right side, you can write the emotions that you feel when you're living those beliefs as a truth. And by the way, this applies to any type of belief. This applies to a belief about yourself, about your charisma, your confidence, your capabilities, your success, about your environment, your friends, your situation, everything. You can apply this framework to everything. So now we're going to look at how you can apply what you just did. So you have written down what this belief looks like. You've broken it down to the two pillars of what a belief is, the thought and then the emotion. So these are now the application, the how you're going to wire this in. And the first and most direct way to do that is visualization. So kind of like what we just did, but I want to make this even more accessible for you. And I want you to go right now and write down a scene that you can picture consistently all the time that's going to allow you to think from this belief, to feel from this belief, to live it like it's real in your mind. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between something that's real and something that's imagined. So how you program in a new belief, you either need to have a physical experience, or if that's not an option to you, which if you're trying to program in something entirely new, you need to create a mental experience through your imagination. Otherwise, it's never going to get wired in, okay? And thank God, literally, that you have the imaginative faculties to do this. This is why you have imagination. It's very powerful. So get excited. The problem with visualization is a lot of us kind of say, oh, I'm going to visualize. And then we get into a meditative state and we don't really know where to go and what to do. So right now, we're going to plan out what you're going to visualize. It's going to take you about a minute a day, right? Maybe you want to do it a few times a day if you really want to kick this up a gear. Going to take about a minute a day. And you want to think about, okay, the belief or the experience of living. So let's say you want a belief that you have harmonious relationships now. Okay, what comes to mind? When you think about that, if that belief were true for you and you were living in alignment with that belief, what would be a situation that would unfold for you that represents this being your truth? Just like if something happened in physical reality, it would rewire your mind on what you perceive as true, if it had a strong emotional impact on you, okay? So just like if you had a negative experience with somebody, if somebody betrayed you, you wired in a belief that people aren't trustworthy, but then you had a really positive experience of someone looking out for you, someone looking after you, someone really being loyal to you, and that could rewire your belief again. It's the same thing, but you're just doing it in your imagination. So write out a scenario, a very short scene, and I want you to engage your senses. This is the most important thing. So almost like you're writing like a really descriptive book for a second, you want to say, okay, it's mid-afternoon, the sun is setting, it's a little bit cold, I'm on the back of a boat, I'm with my best friends, and one of the friends comes up to me and says something so kind and so thoughtful, and she looked after this for me, and I feel so seen and I feel so heard. And I'm so grateful for this friend, right? And you want to see, like, what does this friend look like? How is their demeanor? Maybe you notice, like, what you're wearing, if you have any jewelry on. You smell the ocean air. You take all your senses into the equation. Maybe you're sipping a glass of champagne or a cup of coffee and you taste it, okay? So you want to bring in all of your senses and viscerally experience this. This is what you want to put in your description and write it out. You're writing it out first, okay? So once you have this written, and it doesn't need to be super long, then you know what you're going to do when it's time to visualize because you've already prepared it. And I'll give you a really easy hack for this. This is one of Neville Goddard's techniques, I believe, but he has the wish fulfilled. I have a version of this actually in my community where you just imagine somebody coming up to you, somebody that you love and trust coming up to you and saying, congratulations for X, Y, and Z. So whatever that would represent in terms of you having this new belief, congratulations for your success in your business. Congratulations for meeting the love of your life, whatever it is. And just feel the feelings. Very important that you picture it vividly, you think how that version of you would think, and you feel the feelings associated with that reality. So once you've written out the experience, then after you relax, you visualize. You visualize living in this belief like it's true, acting out this belief like it's true, circumstances unfolding in line with this belief, and you feel it. That is what will wire in this belief for you. This is like the core practice. The next practice you could do is scripting. So this is one of my favorites. I used to struggle a lot with visualization, which, by the way, if you're struggling to visualize, it's because you are dysregulated in your nervous system. You're probably in fight or flight mode, you're in survival mode. So you need to heal out of that first, and then you'll find it easier to visualize. But visualizing initially when you first start is always difficult. So you just need to be consistent, okay? That's the main thing. Okay, the second practice is scripting. What is scripting? You're writing from, and again, the key here is you're living from the new belief. You're not thinking of, objectively, what could life look like? No, in your visualization, you are in the body of the version of you who this belief is true for. And so in scripting, you are writing as the version of you who this belief is true for. So this is something I will do once every couple of weeks. I don't do it that much anymore, but this is something I did a lot, and I read back on those entries now, and I am living physically these things now because I took the time to do stuff like this. So for example, I am so happy that I spent the day with my loving friends in my harmonious relationships. Wow, I'm so grateful that this is my life now. So you write a journal entry like you've just lived a day in your new belief. What does it look like? How does it feel? What did you do? What is your experience? and you fully sink into it like you're in the body of that version of you, thinking and writing from their perspective. This is really, really powerful as well. So before you do this, you want to get into a relaxed state, take a few deep breaths, drop into your body, channel in, okay, I'm the version of me who this is true for. This is my belief. This is my experience. And I'm going to write about what my day was like, living in this reality. This is a very, very powerful tool when you use it consistently. Okay, the next one I have to mention because, and I actually am reluctant to write this here because I'm not the biggest fan of affirmations, if you know me. However, they are effective in some regards. Affirmations, this is where the repetition comes in. I'm not going to tell you to do countless affirmations willy-nilly and just like trying to see if that works. That won't work. The only thing I want you to affirm is a statement that you actually have emotional resonance with, okay? So affirmations are effective, but only when you actually have emotional charge backing them up. And so if it works for you to write on a piece of paper your new truth, your new belief, and to read it a few times a day, by all means do that. But make sure when you're reading it, you are engaging the emotions associated with that belief and that experience every single time you read it. Otherwise, it's kind of a waste of time. The other thing you can do, this is kind of a bonus exercise, but this is something I've used as well, which is super powerful, is it's kind of like a version of scripting. You can record a voice note. So you can write out this entry of, this version of you who's already living this thing, who's already living by these new beliefs, and you can record a voice message from the perspective of that version of you and listen to it every morning. So this is particularly helpful for when you want to rewire your beliefs about yourself and you want to step into the next level version of you. So let's say, for example, you want to go from being the version of you who's playing small, who's quiet, who's shy, to confident, bold, loud, in your power, expressive. It's very powerful if you're trying to wire in beliefs like that to write out a script for that version. So my name is Katie. I am my most bold, powerful self. Today I was fearless and I stepped up and I did this thing and it all comes effortlessly to me. Put that in a voice note. I call this your identity rehearsal script. So this is really good specifically for identity beliefs. Put it in a voice note and listen to it every day and feel it when you're listening to it. That is another very powerful subconscious rewiring tool. The other thing when it comes to subconscious rewiring is to only take in inputs that are supportive of your new belief. So consciously listen to audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube videos that support your new belief. That will help you overwrite your old belief. That's a very simple one, but it's very effective. And then the fifth thing to do to rewire your subconscious mind is to take aligned action. This is one we all want to avoid. But as soon as this idea, through all the other practices, starts getting into your mind, you will start getting ideas and insights and perspectives that are a little bit different to anything you've had before. And when you get those ideas, you better act on them because those are the path to this experience that you're looking for. And you acting on these ideas, even when they're outside your comfort zone, is what's going to show you physically that things have changed. So I call this tricking your paradigm action. By taking actions that you never would have taken before, it shows you that you're different to who you were before. Like you can show yourself physically that things are changing by showing up differently as well in your life. But notice how this is the last step. And notice how I said aligned. So it's really important that you're laying the mental frameworks first through visualization, scripting, affirmations as well, and monitoring your inputs. And then you're taking action on the insight that's coming through off the back of that. And it will come through. You just need to be patient. We have a tendency on that note, and I'm going to finish on this, okay? So to summarize, visualization. First of all, to summarize, get relaxed. Relax 3 times a day. Close the door, sit down in silence, relax your body completely, totally and utterly relax. That's how you access your subconscious mind. Then do your visualization that you've already written a scenario for. Engage your thoughts, engage your emotions like you're living from it, like it's already done. Leave the visualization and go about your day. That's the core practice, okay? Second thing is scripting, writing from it already done. Bob Proctor always says, I am so happy and grateful now that I am. My boyfriend has manifested so much success through just using that, right? Write it on a card, read it a few times a day, get your emotions involved in it. Write every morning. What are you so happy and grateful for from your new belief system? That wires in that new belief into your subconscious. You can do the identity rehearsal script, okay? If it's something to do with your traits that you want to rewire, your beliefs about yourself and your traits, you can do an entry in a voice note like you're being interviewed about who you are, but you're the new self. Listen to that a few times a day. Next thing is your inputs. Listen to content and inputs that wire in your new belief. And then the last thing is take aligned action. When you get the intuition, when you get the insight, when you get the idea in line with the new belief, act on it. That'll do that last piece of rewiring for you. And then the final caveat and the final note that I want to make on this, stay present. When people start doing this work, they get so obsessed with what they want and what's missing from their reality that they spend all their time dwelling on what they did in the past, resenting themselves for getting themselves to this point, or wishing they were in the future, or worrying about the future, worrying, how is this going to happen? That is what is actually blocking you from seeing the path that's right in front of you. Worrying about how, where, what, when, why. That's what's slowing you down. So if we think about the non-physical, okay, we're only experiencing time by virtue of us existing in this 3D reality. It's a construct of our 3D reality. In the higher dimensions beyond this physical reality, there is no time. Everything exists in an infinite present moment. Every possibility exists in an infinite present moment. So the more that you can stay present, the more that you can see the opportunities, the possibilities, the everything, the actions that you could take that's in alignment with the new belief that you just wired in. So once you visualize it, once you plant the seed, just let it go and become present. That is how you start getting the insight. That is how you start noticing the shifts in your perception. Then that's when things start changing physically for you. I can't tell you how many times I've had to remind myself of this, I've had to remind clients of this. When you're not present, when you're so worried about chasing the next thing or rushing after things or making things happen, you are not perceiving the opportunities that are right in front of your face right in this moment. So once you've wired it in, let it go and get present. That's all for this video, guys. I hope it helps. Please remember, if somebody can be programmed and brainwashed to act like a monkey, you can brainwash yourself to just improve in your finances or in your relationships. It's not this big, difficult task as it seems, okay? And you have the tools now to go forth and actually apply this stuff in your life. So please use everything you've learned today. You are so powerful. You have all of these higher faculties within you. You have the imagination. You have the intellect. You have everything you need to make this happen. You just have to go and actually apply what you've learned, integrate it, and then trust the process. Let me know in the comments if you've gone through and applied this process. Come back and check in and let me know your results. I'm so excited to see it. When you go through this, you apply it like this, you cannot fail. So please have some faith in yourself and let me know in the comments if you do it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next week.